Hello, my sweet friend. I am Cristina Arevalo, cake business, productivity coach, and podcaster. I help cake makers like you manage your business productively and with ease, taking control of your time and workflow to avoid stress and burnt out. I offer personalized strategies and supportive community to help you stay organized, productive, and in charge of your success. Your cake business should bring you joy, not stress. I'm here to help you build an efficient, successful, and sustainable business without feeling overwhelmed and burned out. With the right planning, strategies, and mindset, you can reach your goals, stay organized, and enjoy the journey. Let's make your cake business work for you, not the other way around. Hi there. If you like this podcast and enjoy this episode, there's only one thing I ask from you. Please follow this podcast, download this episode, and leave me a started review in any of your favorite podcast platforms where you're listening to this show now. This way, the algorithm will show the podcast to more cake artists who will benefit from, and you'll be helping me grow this show. And don't forget to share it on social media and tag me, and I'll gladly follow you back. I would love to hear what you have to say. Leave me a comment on Spotify or answer any of the questions and polls on the episode. Let me invite you to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as the Art Cake Coach, or follow the links on the show notes to find out more ways to stay connected. Visit www.theartcakecoach.com for more. On today's episode, we have not one, not two, not three, but four coaches, cake business coaches to be more specific, on the Art Cake Coach podcast. We have Tynan from the Cake Business Club. We have Krissy Quinton from the Cake Business Lounge and Savannah Timoffei from the Cake Business Academy. And of course, myself, Cristina, from the Art Cake Coach. All of us are here together to show, first of all, we are united in this community to make this community and this business profitable, enjoyable, and manageable. And also to show you that we work together, we laugh together, we believe in the same things, and we are here to help you. So listen to today's episode on the Art Cake Coach podcast. Before we continue with today's episode, a quick thank you to our sponsor, the Vanilla Valley. The Vanilla Valley is a cake decorating supply shop where you can find everything you need, from tools and colorings to cake board, boxes, and other baking essentials. They also run a multi-buy deal on popular brands like Pro Gel, Color Meal, and Sugar and Crumbs, which is perfect for you if you're stocking up your cake studio. You can also join Club VV for free. The more you shop, the more you save throughout the year. And if you're running a busy cake business, they've also launched the VV Wholesales, their wholesale sister company for buying essential items like boards and boxes in bulk. You can find all the links in the show notes. Now, let's get back to our episode. Well, hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to another episode of the Art Cake Coach podcast. Cristina here, and I'm not alone. I decided to bring not one, not two, but three coaches to the show today. And I'm so happy to have them all here. Kate, hello, Kate from the Cake Business Club. How are you doing today?
Hi, Cristina. I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Savannah, how are you today?
Very well. Thank you, Cristina. Yeah, having a great time.
Oh, thank you for being here. And Krissy, my other fellow nominee from the DMAs, how are you today? You're very welcome, and I'm very happy to have you all here. The idea was talking behind the scenes with the girls here. The idea of this episode came to me with the nominations for the DMAs awards, the business coaching cake business coach category. Savannah was a finalist. Krissy, Kate, and I were semi-finalists, right, Savannah? Yeah, Krissy, Kate, and I were finalists, and Kate won. Congratulations, Kate, for winning the award. I mean, I knew I wasn't gonna get it. I was like, that's not gonna be me. But I actually mentioned to Krissy in the show, when we were at the DMAs, I really hope it's Kate because I want to be like Kate when I grow up. I really do. I think you have everything so figured out. You know, your membership, everything, the way you present yourself on social media. That I was really happy that you got it.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome. And the idea of this episode was to show a little bit to the community in general, the cake community, that this what we do is important. What we do, we do it because we really want everyone to have that business mentality, to have a productive business, a profitable business, to make it easier on them, because we didn't have that when we started out, and to show that we do work together, we support each other, we admire each other. And in my head, that's how this K community should be. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is, but it's the way I see it. It should be. Girls, I have a first question general questions for all of you. My question is, what is the number one concern that your community has? The people you work with, your own communities, what is the number one concern they all complain about? Savannah, let's start with Savannah.
Oh, we're starting with a really tricky one there. For me, most of my community, they complain that they aren't getting the orders. They're complaining that there isn't any customers for them. People are not buying cakes anymore. So at the moment, that's what everything is focused on. People are just struggling to get by. And I can see why, because obviously the environment and everything, it's all changed, and cakes are a luxury item, regardless of whether it's a birthday cake or a wedding cake. They are a luxury item. But it's trying to make them understand that there are still customers out there. They're just not attracting them. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing at the moment, is that, and they're complaining about it, and then they're not doing anything different. So I think it's the education isn't there for them to realize that actually it's all about how you market yourself. This marketing and branding and everything else, it's so important. But they think if they can just put a cake online, somebody's going to buy. So that's the struggle I'm seeing at the minute.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, more and more you see businesses who are just closing. People are dropping the towel, like, no, I just can't do it. But there is a way to do it, like you mentioned. Probably they're not just putting themselves out there to the right customer.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So it's just trying to get them to understand that.
The question I asked for all of you, Savannah just answered, is what is the number one concern that your community complains about? But let me go with Krissy. Krissy, what about your community?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my head was about people getting the orders in. Most of the people that I work with are wedding industry as well. We know that weddings over time have got smaller, so it's not just lack of orders as such, it's the smaller weddings and the increase in DIY weddings as well, and the amount of people that are looking to either make their own cake or getting a family member to do it, because as Savannah said, it is a luxury item. It's not at the top of everyone's wedding list now for suppliers. So whereas I think more years ago it was easier for them to be like, yeah, cake is the next thing on my list, it's more at the bottom. So I do have a lot of cake makers asking me and just say, how can I get out there? And it does all come down to the marketing. I find more conversations that I have are to do with the confidence of putting yourself out there. So they might have the tools to be able to do more than just a pretty picture on their grid, but at the same time it's then showing your face more, being more confident in being yourself rather than just trying to hide behind your cakes all the time.
True. Oh, absolutely. Because there's so much, I will say, noise out there, right? So many cakes we see online, everybody's doing, and then we have the content creator bakers who just bake for content creation, and they're, in my opinion, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, it's creating some expectations maybe is not the case. So it's hard for the real baker, if you can call it like that, to say, okay, now this is the real thing, this is what we do. But I hear you. Okay, good. And Kate, what about you? What is the number one concern that your community talks about?
I think similar, really, around securing orders. And I think a lot of that is coming down to kind of price comparison now, because people are sort of window shopping and there's a lot of cake makers out there for people to choose from. And obviously I promote people charging like properly for their work. You all know how strongly I feel about pricing, but I'm teaching the people I work with to price for profit, to price so they're paid fairly for what they do. But there are so many people out there who don't have that knowledge, who are not pricing in a way that's going to help them run a sustainable and profitable business, that then the people who are trying to do that are competing with those people. So it's very difficult at the moment, I think, to get the orders in. And I think that's a reason why it's important to try maybe to find a way of standing out from the competition in whatever way that might be, whether that's in the style of cakes that you offer, the service that you offer, the products that you use, the way you put yourself across, like Krissy said, on social media and marketing yourself, so that people aren't just comparing you on cost. And then you've got a better way of, securing the orders. So I think, it kind of comes down to that a lot, really. I think the kind of getting the orders and making sure people understand what they're actually paying for, the value that they're getting, and they're not just getting a cake.
Yeah, yeah. Krissy, you mentioned it. Or it was Savannah. It's not. I mean, it is a luxury. A cake is not a need. So, trying to make people understand that and the value of what they're getting is not just a cake, which is usually the answer. Oh, but it's just a cake. No, it's not. It's not just a cake. Why? This is for all of you. Why? What is happening? What got us to this point? Is it? I mean, everything changed after the pandemic, the economy of the world, the needs of people, what people expect. Why is this happening nowadays?
I think the pandemic definitely has something to do with it. The landscape changed, particularly with weddings after the pandemic. Obviously, I was purely a wedding cake maker when the pandemic hit, and it wiped us all out basically overnight. So I think maybe people's sort of views on how a wedding should be, or that maybe it doesn't have to be this big grand event, spending £50,000 on a wedding anymore. Some people are obviously still doing that, but I think the landscape has changed a bit, and people are going for smaller, more intimate weddings. Also, the cost of everything as well, Christina. The cost of living and the cost of ingredients, like chocolate's gone absolutely through the roof. So it's that impact, to actually, again, coming back to pricing a bit, you've got to make sure you're covering all of your costs. But cake is a luxury item, as Savannah said, and not everyone can afford luxuries now. It's a case of feeding your kids sometimes, or getting them a birthday cake from a cake maker, or do you have to go to the supermarket route because that's all you can afford? So there's a lot of things to juggle, I think, at the moment in our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think there's another aspect which is overlooked, which is social media, because everybody decorates their cakes online now. It's content. Let's film ourselves decorating a cake, and the people that are watching are like, well, I can do that. And there's people out there who do teach, on TikTok, for example, they actually teach for free how to decorate a cake. Yeah, it's basic, and you're not going to get the results as you would from a professional cake maker who's been doing it for years. But the people who are financially struggling or would rather spend that money elsewhere, they'll be like, I'm just going to make it myself. It's, and I think there's more and more and more of these because it's all over social media. It's all you see is people decorating cakes, making cakes, filming it while they're doing it. And even if they don't film the whole process, you can piece things together. And I think that has an impact. And I know we want to do it for content, but I think it has an impact on people then purchasing from us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, yeah, I totally I was thinking about the next part. But yeah, because I've been saying this for a while now. This content creation online, it's showing an image that it's easy, it's just simple. Let's just do it. And because you have a reel of what, a minute, less than a minute, and you see the whole process, and you're like, oh, I can do that. And it's not the reality. Now, I ask you, what is the concern? I ask you, why? Now, what do we do with that? Because that's where we come in. Ta-da! The super coach is trying to fix something. What do we do? How can we give a little bit of hope to the cake maker who is trying to build a business from their kitchen? who is, but I really love this and I really want to make it work. I guess that's where we come in as coaches. What can we say to those people?
I think if I was going to go to say something to somebody, it's to show them why they need to go with you. It's not why, like, oh, I'm the best cake maker around. It's not that. It's why they should choose a cake maker. Why they need to show the customer why. So do they have a particular style? Do they, show them the benefits of having a professional cake maker compared to making it themselves? The ease of it, the less stress. Yes, it costs more money, but this is what you get, and showcase your skills. And a lot of people don't typically do that. They'll stick an image online, but it won't be the best image. They won't really, it's one of those. Before I became a coach and before I took pride in everything, it was like, quickly take a picture before it left the house. But then I realized that if I was going to get better as a cake maker and get these more clients, I really had to take pride in the cakes that I was sending out the door. They looked amazing in person, but it would be a quick snap before I left the house. And I think so many people still do that. And it doesn't show everything to the best that it could be done.
Krissy, you mentioned that before, right? The putting yourself out there and showing yourself and be there for your business, right?
Yeah, I think I've seen so many cake maker accounts where it's full of cakes. I have no idea who they are. And I'm someone who buys from creators. I like to know who I'm buying from. I like to know the personality, that I'm going to click with them, that they understand my needs and all that sort of thing. And I think that's really important for us to do that as well. And I was just going to add on to something with the question you just asked, was that I think as cake businesses, we need to be very adaptable with the change in how the trends work, the new generations that are coming through and all that sort of thing. So even if we have been running for 10, 15, 20 years, that we have to adapt to the markets and everything so that we then attract all those new people coming in and the changes that they want. Because a lot of us, we could carry on doing the same marketing and the word I've forgotten, but we could be doing the same thing that we've done 10 years ago, but it's not going to do anything for us. So we've really got to look at how, and that's what I say to a lot of the people that I talk to, is you've just got to change the way you put yourself out there now. We've got to adapt.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that. I've been talking about that for a while now. But that's for another topic that we will mention. But anyway, Kate, I remember it was one of your social media challenges that you run, and I participated. And you talk about showing yourself on your business and the bio and putting out there all of how the client will find you. And Krissy, what you just mentioned, like yesterday, I was trying to tag somebody about a podcast that I heard, and I was trying to find a way to tag that person because the podcast was really good. I couldn't find it. Like, I went on her Instagram, web page, you name it. I couldn't find a way to tag that person into the post that I was doing. I was like, no, why do you make it so complicated? Make it easy. That show yourself. How can I contact you? And just be there for your business.
And who you are as well. The amount of accounts that I see that don't have a name of the person on them, I have no idea who they are. And even if I message anyone ever, I always want to address them by name, and I'll scroll through the feed and I might see a picture of them and it still doesn't say who they are. And people who don't say who they are or who don't say where they're based, like, are some of the biggest mistakes I see on particularly Instagram, because you're not going to get the orders that you want coming to you if you haven't got your location, for example, in your main, like, bold part of your name on your bio. You're missing a massive marketing trick there. And I think, just coming back to something we were kind of talking out a little bit before, I think you were saying about how can we kind of sort of show cake makers that they can do it. I think there's so many, like, cake maker groups out there, and what happens in these groups a lot is people share the bad stuff. They share what's gone wrong, the problems they're having, they're asking for help, which is fine. That's what those communities are for. But there's so much great stuff happening as well in cake businesses. There's so many cake makers absolutely smashing it at the moment and doing amazing things. And I work with a lot of them in my club who are doing just great, great things. But they don't go on social media and start boasting about the great things they've done or posting the great things they've done in other groups. I mean, I encourage my members to share the wins, big or small, so we can all celebrate together. But I think we see, either we see the highlight reel of things on social media and only see like the shiny things, or then in the more closed areas of cake maker Facebook groups, we see all the bad stuff. So it's like
True.
understanding what's actually real and what's not, and knowing that there are people out there who are doing great things. And it can be a brilliant business to run if you, like Chris is saying, almost move with the times, do the things that you're supposed to be doing. And so many people say things aren't working. And then when you look in the greater detail, there's so many things they're not doing. And that's why it's not working. I'm not getting the orders. Well, you haven't posted on social media for 4 months. So you haven't got a website, you've not got a Google business profile. Maybe these are all the reasons why the orders aren't coming in,
Yeah.
So I think there's just so many things you can dip into and juggle, and all of the hats you've got to
True.
wear.
And I love that. And that's where we all come in and we take a deeper look of what's happening and try to help them. Krissy, I love what you mentioned, and Kate, you also mentioned it about, I mean, if you don't adapt to times, because and at Top Savannah, we talk about that when we recorded the episode on Cake International. There are parts of this industry that feel it got stuck in what was good. And I don't like to go back and refer to the pandemic, but it was a breaking point. It was a before and after. It worked, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was good that 15 years ago, but maybe it's not relevant anymore. So, Kate, now that you mentioned, there's people who's smashing it and doing great things, but they're not out there. So it feels like we have what we see is one thing, what we think of the industry is another thing, and what's really happening is a third thing. So there's something mismatching going on in there. And I personally think that the work that we do is try to bring this to a reality. And it hit me this year when the year started, because I felt, and Savannah, you also talked about that, about the noise. You feel like, oh my God, there's so much going on that I need to take a step back and rest. That at the end of the day, it all goes down to the person in their kitchen trying to grow their business and sell their cakes, cupcakes, whatever. And we are here to serve them. That's what it all goes down to. Everything else is just noise. So after my monologue here, what do you think we need to do to adapt to this new I'm gonna say new reality, I don't like that, but to the new, to let's not keep stuck on what we did 6-10 years ago. How do we face the new? Anyone?
We've got to, I think, arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can, which is where all we come in. Because I think the problem is, it's not a problem really, but there's so much you can access for free online: YouTube, tutorials, blogs, all these kind of things. And lots of people, they're all saying different things to do, like you should do this, you should do that, and what they're telling, it might not necessarily be the right way for you. And I think us as coaches can help people more personally. Like, we can understand what the needs of their actual business are and guide them towards the right path to actually work on the things that they need to work on, rather than absorbing so much information that it just causes too much overwhelm. And then you take no action whatsoever, which I think is a lot of the thing that happens. People just think they can solve all of their problems for free. And there is a lot of free stuff out there, and I'm not knocking that. But to get the best guidance, you're going to get the best guidance if you pay and show up and actually work with somebody like one of us, who can actually guide you in a professional way and give you all of the relevant tools that you need to actually succeed in your business, rather than being bombarded with too much noise that then you just get so overwhelmed you do nothing. I think that's one of the thing I would say.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
I'd
Thank you
add
for
to
that,
that. Yeah,
Savannah.
I'd add to that as well to say that, yeah, because if we had the knowledge that we provide as coaches, if we had that ourselves 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't have taken us so long to be the cake makers that we ended up being. But also, as coaches, we look at the whole industry and how everything changes in all the different parts of it. You know, it's how to come across on social media, it's the types of cakes that are going out, it's the cake makers that are coming. We look at everything. Whereas if you're actually just in the whole making the cakes process, you are making your cakes, you're running your business, you see snippets of things. And like Kate said, you get snippets from different bits and pieces. Whereas a coach, we study the industry and give you the knowledge that is not easy to come by and can take so long. And exactly, you pick up these free bits and then you try and piece them together, and it just doesn't work for you. And exactly what Kate said is that we do it in a way that helps you as a personal person, as a cake maker yourself. It's not general information. You get information that is right for you and your cake business. So I think that's, yeah, I just wanted to add that on because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's a lot of, there's a lot of noise, and how are you going to structure that? And that's where we all come in.
I think as coaches,
Krissy, what do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to add on again because I agree with all of that. I think every cake business is different. There's no cake business the same out there. And if you find the right person that can give the information that works for you, you're on for a big winner. Like, you can't, it's priceless almost, because if you've got someone that has been in a very similar experience to how they've built up their cake business to what you are, or the way you work, how you process information, then that's going to work really well for you. And I just think you've got to find the right information and how to make use of it to then actually get a benefit out of it. So yeah, all that free information, some of it is really good. I'll admit I've used some of it myself, because I obviously still have my business going strong. But at the same time, like Kate said, you're going to be overwhelmed by all of it. And if you don't know how to action it, then it's pointless.
I think
Absolutely.
as coaches as well, I think it's kind of partly our job to cut through the noise as well. Like, I spend a lot of time learning new things myself, trying to stay on top of social media. I work with people, I do courses, myself, that I can then build that knowledge into what I give to my members. So they're always having the most up-to-date information, really. And if I ever don't know the answer to something, I'll go and investigate and find the answer out, so I can give them the best knowledge rather than just letting them go loose and trying to find it out themselves. I'll like filter it and be like, okay, well, this is what I've discovered, and I think this is the most helpful path for you to follow right now. So
Yeah.
I think that's why we're worth the big bucks. Because you can, I think people are always so like resistant to investing in business. It's one of my biggest bugbears. They'll happily spend £50 on a stencil, £200 on some new cake stuff. But then when you say, well, you can invest in working in your business, and you could grow your business, massively over the next few months if you just invest this much every month. They're like, oh no, I can't. I don't feel like that's the right fit.
No, they can't.
It's that resistance. I don't know why, but like, even as a cake maker, I worked with coaches myself. And even as a coach now, I've worked with various people along the way.
True.
And there's huge value in investing in something that will help you move from A to B much faster. It saves you time, and your time costs money. It's not free. So if you can save yourself weeks, months, or even years to get yourself propelled faster by working with a coach, you're on to a winner. It's like a no-brainer in my eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's what you mentioned, Kate. We go through the noise because we do have to, right? We have to know what's going on, what's out there, and the needs of our communities. And our job is to structure that noise so it can serve you. But again, maybe what serves I don't know, A doesn't serve B. It needs to adapt, and that's where we come in. But yeah, people know. Let's buy another cake stand. Why not? But let's not pay for somebody to help me. Yeah, that's I think that's our biggest struggle too, right? Trying to make people understand that this is important.
Mhm.
So I have a question for you, because we all started baking, right? We all started baking. Savannah, you still have your cake business, right?
Yeah, but yes, I do. But it's on the wind down. So
Okay.
yes, still making cakes, but not actively seeking them.
Okay. Krissy, you also have you still have your cake business, right? Yeah.
My cake business is actually going up. It's got busier in the last 12 months, and I'm not going to slow it down yet.
Oh,
So
excellent.
you're
Congrats. Great, great. And just turned 10, correct? Yeah, I saw the post that you just turned 10. So I have a question for you, because I always talk about this in the podcast. How long it took you to figure things out on your cake business on your own? Because I guess we were on our, I was on my own. I didn't have any help because there was no other available out there. Business help. For me, it was around 3 years to understand, like, ooh, this is not working. Like, I'm losing money. I'm going nuts. I don't know what's going on. How long it took you?
So for me, I suppose it was about a halfway point. So for 5 years, I was still working as a part-time teacher. So I was I'll say a sideline business, part-time business. So I just kind of went with the flow, and it was just those typical word of mouth type orders that come in, and just kind of got on with it. And then it weren't until I started getting wedding inquiries that I was like, okay, I kind of need to be serious now. And although I was making them mainly for people I knew, because I was too scared for like the public weddings, I'll say, I then that's when I started to think, okay, I've got to really do something serious about my business. And that's when I then found my coach. So 2021, goodness, it might have been 2022. I've lost track of the years, to be honest.
Yeah.
But definitely just after the pandemic, I was like, okay, I need to find someone that's actually going to help me. And that's when I joined a membership, got myself the business coach. And I suppose, yeah, in that first 2 years, I rebranded. I did so much to then bring my business up to where it is now.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it's just kind of gone from there. So I suppose, yeah, if you're not looking for someone to help you in the beginning, you are just going to have to get on with it. But I would say within 2 years, that was where I wanted it to be. And I was still a part-time teacher as well. So I had to put all the work in, put it that way.
Yeah. But see, I mean, how far it took you before the coach, and how well it went now with the help. It's yeah, we know, right? Kate, what about you?
So just like many cake makers, I started my business like when my kids were young and like around them. And actually, I didn't really go full time in the business until both my children had gone to school. And I kind of had my son, and then I had a couple of years, and then I had my daughter. So, it was probably 5 or 6 years until I was actually properly full time in the business. And yes, made a lot of mistakes in that time, because you just start the business and you don't really know what you're doing, and you have to kind of find your way. And once I did go full time, I kind of went more into the wedding cake side of things then. And a bit like what Chris is saying, you learn, it's almost like, okay, this has got serious now. I need to do things properly. So I think that's probably as well similar kind of to Krissy. Like that's when I thought, right, this isn't working, or I need to change this, or this needs to get more slick, or now I need to have a different rebrand, and let's go at this full pelt now. And again, I just like Krissy, I didn't work with a cake business coach, but I worked with various like coaches, kind of business coaches or memberships, just more to have that community as well, and to be able to bounce things off people, sense check things with people. Is this a good idea? Is this am I on the right path?
Yeah.
All of that kind of thing. So it's definitely not a slow, not a fast process, I think, particularly if you do start part-time, particularly, around young ones or whatever, and you try and build it up, or you've got that other job and you want to move from the job to the cake business. It is going to take time, but I think if you can get things right in the early days, it stops you making so many mistakes. And, it's like if you get a puppy and you don't train it and it gets into bad habits, the same for a cake business. You end up picking up bad habits, and it's when you get busier, it's then hard to get out of those habits because you're stuck in this cycle. You don't have the time then. So if you can get things right from the beginning, you're setting yourself up for a much greater chance of success from the off.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And for you, Savannah, how was the experience for you?
Fairly similar. So I think I've been doing it now for about 14 years. And the first 5, I would say I was just completely winging it, doing whatever I could, working full time, baking part time, following tutorials on YouTube or wherever else. And after the sort of first 5 years, I just came to a point where I was like, I'm just not enjoying this. It's not making me money. It's not fun. I'm losing all my hours after the day job because I'm trying to work on cakes. And it came to a point where I was like, I either do this or I don't, because I'm just not enjoying it. And that was my sort of shining light moment where you sort of go, well, I do want to do this. I love what I'm doing. I'm just not enjoying it right now. So I actually swiveled my business from celebration cakes to wedding cakes, and then made the effort to learn business. And that's when everything turned around for me. So I was able to then leave my day job because I'd learned how to run a proper business and make money. And I found that the wedding cakes were where my heart lied. So I found I enjoyed it again. So yeah, I would say about 5 years. Again, really just to realize that it's either an expensive hobby or it's going to be my business. And I decided to make it my business.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I wish I had, I mean, half of the help that we offer to our coachees and to our communities. And it would have been a very different story. Probably my business would have been way bigger from the beginning, or at least in less years than it took me to get it all figured out. Absolutely. Now, how do you think, because we could say this what we do is kind of new inside the community. After pandemic, I think it took like a big exponential growth into calling ourselves coaches and the business coach. At the beginning, I hated the word coach. It's like, I'm not coach. I'm just trying to help. But eventually it's like, okay, yes, I am a coach. But how do you think, I have 2 questions. How do you think people, I mean, bakers see us, and how do you think the cake industry in general see us? As like a side thing, as part of the industry? Are we in, are we out, are we halfway out? How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna go with, do you know when people talk about mindset, manifestation, that sort of thing, everyone sorts of goes, oh,
They start
no,
rolling their
thanks
eyes
very
like,
much.
yeah,
That's a
right.
bit too far out. And I think most people look at coaches in the cake business as a bit like that. It's like, oh no, I don't need somebody telling me what to do, or, then how are they going to help me? I just need to learn how to cover my cake nicer. I just need to learn how to make sugar flowers. I don't need coaching. And I think that's how I think it's still kind of seen like that, to be honest.
I think people need almost, it's that they see other people doing it, and then almost it becomes more acceptable. So, they see, oh, you so and so told me about your membership, they've said, and then I'm thinking about, almost they need somebody else to give them the approval that it's okay to work with a coach or to join a membership. And almost they want somebody else to test it out first before they dip the toe in the water, to make sure it's okay. And I think it's definitely becoming, more acceptable, and people are more accepting of it. Probably because there's more of us around now as well, and people are like, oh, well, that's a thing now. It's almost like semi-naked cake. It's like they weren't a thing, were they, a few years ago? Now, like, they are. It's kind of the same thing. And I suppose a bit like that. Some people love them, some people hate them. But I think if you ever like considering working with a coach, you should always just try it, because what's the worst that can happen? I say, it doesn't work out, or you decide it's not for you. Well, that's fine. At least you gave it a go. But I think sitting on the fence and just waiting for somebody else to almost give you permission to do that thing, or waiting for your friend to try it first. You should be the one to take the action. There's so many people that could be further ahead of what in their business than where they are now if they worked with one of us, because we would help them to be further ahead. And I think there's a lot of resistance around it. Maybe a little bit like Savannah said, with kind of mindset, and people think, oh, it's a bit of woo woo. But that's also a huge part of running a business, the mindset part of things. And we have a resident mindset coach in the Cake Business Club who does sessions with the members, and it's amazing the things that she manages to work through with people, and actually the progress and the shifts in mindset just by working on that. And it's the same with your business. The more you work on it, the more it will shift. You can't go to the gym once and expect to have a six-pack the next day. Same with a business. You've got to build that business and keep working on it consistently, like a step by step, every day, every week, every month, and keep repeating. And it's never ending. You're never going to stop working on your business. You might have the skills and the knowledge and the confidence to continue that journey alone further down the line. And that's fine. People aren't necessarily going to work with us forever, but it's a helping hand along the way.
Yeah, I think in my case, what I hope for is that they get the tools they need so they can walk alone and just keep going, and we can keep helping the ones coming in. Yeah, that's what we expect. Yeah.
I think there's a lack of understanding of actually what we do. We're not just sitting there saying you must post more on social media or you've got to make a website. That's not what we're about, is it? We're trying to give them all the tools, all the knowledge in a way that they can use it for what they need. We're not just going to give them everything on a plate and be like, right, off you go. Or we're not just going to give them all the mindset stuff and like all the confidence. We've got a whole bag full of tools that we can say, right, you need this one, you need that one, and work it out on almost a personal level for each of our members or people that we speak to.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that that's how we do it. We're not just going to sit there and just preach one thing to everybody and hope that they just use it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Not everybody needs the same help, or the same tool resonates with everyone. The same as not the same coach resonates with everyone. That's another thing. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this, because I've worked with coaches as well. I do have my coach. And funny enough, the coach that actually shifted everything in me was a money mindset coach, because I was stuck. I had the knowledge of the business. Yes. I knew what I had to do. Yes. But when it came to the money, I was blocked. And until I worked with this person, it's like, oh, I have an issue with money. So that is why this is not working. Everything was like, oh, okay, great. So we work, I work with coaches, we work with coaches, and that coach worked for me. So maybe I can work with somebody else, but maybe Kate could be a better fit for somebody else, or Savannah could be a better fit for somebody else. Krissy could be a better fit for somebody else, but just try it out. Just come and see what we do, and then figure it out which one is the best fit for you. It's not a competition. That's another thing that I wanted to show today in this episode, because we see a lot of competition within the cake makers, like not pricing properly because somebody else is going to take my client, or I can be the only one in town, like the sheriff on a on a western, like I'm the only one in town. There cannot be another baker. Things like that. There is room for everyone to work. One more question that I have for you. What would you say to somebody who's just starting out?
Work with one of us. Get it done properly.
Come to my membership.
Yeah. I think learn the business, some of the business stuff before, alongside learning the cake skills, because they go hand in hand. You can't run a cake business, no matter how good you are at making cakes, if you have no business knowledge. So I think understanding that it's not just starting out learning the cake side of things, you also need to understand how to actually run a business. Otherwise, you end up, like Savannah said, just having an expensive hobby. You look at your bank balance at the end of the year and it's a sad state of affairs because you've not done the things that you needed to do to be able to set the business up in the right way, attract the right kind of clients and charge the right kind of prices. So don't just discount that, I would say, for anyone starting out. It's just as important as learning the cake skills to understand how to do your business.
I think you've got to look at the whole aspect of running a business, but pricing for me is up here. Like, if you can have the best looking cakes in the world, but if you haven't got a price that's going to make you any profit and give you a decent wage, what's the point in advertising them? So the marketing, I find, always comes slightly under, because you've got to get your costs and things all sorted first to know what it is you're going to be able to do and put that profit back in your business and grow it from there.
Yeah. I think a mistake people make is they think, I'm just starting out, I'm just going to charge really cheap prices to get the orders. And then they've not done all of the maths. And,
Why they don't do the math? I know.
It's just, I suppose, it's just that maybe not knowing exactly what to include, worrying about it and just thinking, oh, that'll do. That sounds about right. That person charges that much, so I'm going to charge this much.
Yeah.
So I think, that's I'm 100% with Krissy there. Like, pricing is super, super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're starting their cake business, they're like, well, no one's going to pay X amount of money for a cake. And they do that. It's just a cake. That's what the new bakers do. They act like the customer. It's just a cake. I can't charge that much. So pricing is absolutely huge. But I also say that it's not just making cakes. It's a business. So if you look at it as a hobby, it's going to stay a hobby. Even if you price right, you might still make some money, but it's a business at the end of the day. And there's so many other aspects to business than just making the cake and pricing correctly. And you need to work it all out. It's, how are you going to market yourself? How are you going to do your finances? How are you going to learn new skills? How are you going to have a life away from the cakes? Because I know we all spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours baking. But there's life outside of cakes as well. So if you're just working every single hour of the day, then what's the point? You've got to be able to enjoy it. So I'm all about sort of saving time as well. I think there's just so many things to think about. And as coaches, that's what we're here for, to think about it for you and just guide you in the right direction.
Exactly. Actually, Savannah, what you just mentioned is what made me start, because I couldn't hear any more of the people, especially inside Cake Friends, wearing the badge of honor that I was baking until 4 a.m. It's like, that's not something you should be proud of. It's like, this is not okay. Why is this a norm? It shouldn't be. And that comes to my next question. What is that area inside all that you do that you love talking about? Because for me, it's time management. You know that. So what is that thing that you say, oh, this is what I just can't stop talking about?
Pricing, I would say. Well, probably not so much in my membership, but outside of I do a lot of pricing masterclasses. I'm always talking about pricing on social media. I pull up, like Hitched for their yearly wedding report that says wedding cakes should be like £250. All of that kind of thing. I think I'm very much on. It's something like very close to my heart, and the reason why so many people struggle in the industry. And it's just this snowball effect of, well, they're charging that, so I'm going to charge that, and I'm going to charge that bit less, and I'm not going to bother working out my pricing, and I'm just plucking it out of thin air. There's so many positives. If people just got their pricing right, it would impact the entire industry, not just them. It would have this snowball effect, and customer expectation. They wouldn't be expecting they could get a custom cake for 30 quid because no one's going to charge that. They're all charging properly. It just shifts the whole industry. So I think for me, mine is the pricing, definitely. I'm passionate about so many things, but I just feel like that's the one that just tips to the post for me. Yeah.
I cannot stop talking about.
Yeah.
Good. Krissy, what about you?
It is actually such a mix of things, I think. We talk about social media. I talk about social media quite a lot, and like how we can be visible. And I've recently gone into more like how to be more authentic and how we need to be a bit more personal so that we're relating to the customers that want to come to us and things. But pricing is definitely something that I probably talk about in a lot of the Facebook groups when you see it coming up, and I'm just like, it's not as simple as just saying it costs this much because they charge it, like all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so
Oh
I
my
definitely
goodness.
have a passion for pricing too. But
You know, those posts on Facebook, how much would you charge for this cake? I just can't. I'm like, no, don't do this. It's like, oh, but it's true. Savannah, what about you?
I'm more about confidence and mindset, because I think that so many people are afraid to put themselves out there, or don't believe that they're good enough, or look at other people's cakes and say, well, they're better than me, so I can't charge as much as them, which obviously comes back to the pricing. But for me, it's definitely mindset and confidence. I thrive on it. And yeah, that's I think
That's the thing that
it's so important. I had when I was at Cake International, somebody came up to me and with their husband, and she was looking at my classes and memberships and everything, and she said, oh, I'm really, really struggling. And I said, okay, so what are you struggling with? And her husband said, oh, it's her confidence. And I was like, well, this is perfect, because this is basically, I'm like the mindset queen. And she went, oh, no, I just need to learn how to make a cake. No, you're missing the point, because the confidence, if you actually believed in yourself, you'd realize you probably already can make a cake, and you can charge more, and you can do better. So yeah, that's my thing.
Ah, love it. I have a last question that I ask everybody. I think, Savannah, you already answered it, and Kate too, because you've been in the show before, but Krissy haven't. But maybe you have a different answer this time. If you could bake a cake for anyone, dead or alive, who would that be, and what would the cake look like?
just be prepared to read this question, because I've probably got about 10 people in my head right now. I'm going to the other two answer first.
Oh, I can't even think. I don't even know what I said last time.
Me neither. I don't remember what you said last time, but I know you answered the question before, but I don't know what I don't Savannah, I don't remember either one.
I have no idea. I think if I was going to make a cake for anybody, Tina Turner. So random.
Why not?
Like a rock and roll themed cake, because it's so far out from what I would normally do.
Oh, okay. To get you out of their comfort zone. That's great.
I'm going to go Claudia Winkleman. That's what comes to mind now, because I absolutely love Traitors, and she's like my style icon. I just love everything about her. So, and The Fringe, obviously.
So that would be, and what would the cake be like? Whimsical, different? I don't know.
We're quite dark and mysterious somehow. Yeah, I don't know. Bit of tartan thrown in there.
Yeah.
Traitors, Scottish castle.
Oh, I love it.
I don't even make cakes for fun now. Like, that door's kind of closed for me now. Now I'm just fully focused on the coaching. So I might make an exception for Claudia.
For her, just for her. That's good. That's good. It's funny you mentioned that, because I did stop baking also about 2 years ago, but I still get now and then one of my old clients is like, oh, but I need the cake. I don't bake anymore. Oh, but you're gonna bake for me. It's like, no, I don't. I don't want to. I'm okay. But I miss it sometimes. Do you miss baking? Sorry, Krissy. While you think about who you're gonna bake for, do you miss baking?
Do I?
Yeah.
I miss the creativity aspect of it, and have it, and seeing the end product and like delivering it and getting the client reaction. I miss that side of things, and I probably don't have that creative outlet at the moment, which I do miss that side of it, but probably not the baking. I live now through other people's cake businesses instead.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's the creative part, but like being in the kitchen, no, thank you. I'm okay. Krissy, do you have an idea who you're going to bake for?
You know what? I've had so many names go through my head, but the only one that's sticking, it's going to sound really random, but would be like Ant and Dec. Because I've always loved them, like since I was a kid. And I just think they would just be hilarious. Try and do like a life-size model of both of them or something.
That'll be awesome.
I do have a cardboard cutout of them in my loft. So
There you go. That's great. Well, just for a little bit of fun. Girls, tell us where people can find you. Savannah, let's start with you.
The Cake Business Academy on Instagram and Facebook and website, it's all the Cake Business Academy.
Good. Thank you. Kate, what about you?
So I'm the Cake Business Club. And again, the same on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, website. All the information about everything I do is on my website, but you'll see me most on Instagram if you want to see my face. That's where you'll find me.
That's where we'll find you for sure. I love when you do your reels. And the other one, what was the one that you did this week that was super funny? I think I
The Cake Business Hotline one.
The hotline one. That was good. That was a good one. Yeah.
I have too much time on my hands. I was just sitting here like, what else? What ideas can I come up with? I said to my husband, that thing you use for work, for calls, can I borrow it? Like the little headset with the mic. So can I borrow that? So yeah, I have random ideas for reels very often.
That's good. That's good. Krissy, what about you? Where can people find you?
So as we're all very similar, just to make it confusing, I am the Cake Business Lounge. So yeah, all of the social media, TikTok and Instagram and all that, website is the Cake Business Lounge as well. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, it's easy. I mean, I have to confess something here. I mentioned it to you, Krissy. I'm dyslexic, right? So remembering your names are so similar that they kind of blur together. So I don't know if you noticed when I was presenting, you was like, there is Kate from the Cake Business Club, because for listeners, Kate has the Cake Business Club written on her screen. And there's Savannah and Krissy, because I knew it was the Cake Business something, but I didn't know which one was which. So sorry about that. But now you guys know. And I will be leaving the links to all of your Instagram or webpage, whatever you prefer, on the show notes so people can find you there. Girls, thank you so much for being here today. I think people will get now how important it is what we do, and how important it is to invest in themselves in this side of their cake business, because it's not only about buying the next cookie cutter or the next modeling class. It's also about investing in their business. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And to everyone listening here today, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions for Kate, Krissy, or Savannah, just leave it in the comments and I'll send them to them. Thank you so much, girls.
Thank
you for being here.
Bye.
Thanks.
Hey, cake friend, before you go, if you've been enjoying this episode and you are ready to take your cake business to the next level, I would love to invite you to join the Art Cake Coach Podcast Club on Spotify. Inside, you'll get access to over 17 exclusive audio classes and time management, goal setting, money mindset, and more. Everything you need to feel organized, confident, and balanced in your cake journey. And you will get one more extra class each month. You can unlock it right here on Spotify. Just tap on the link in the description of this episode.